What's up, everyone? Welcome to this live video. If you are tuning in or catching the replay, make sure to drop a hello in the box below. Let me know if you have any specific questions. I would love to answer them on either this video or the next upcoming video. And we're gonna get right to it today. So today I'm talking specifically about something that is a really passionate topic of mine. I know I have endless topics that I'm passionate about. But the topic of PTSD specifically in the combat field and with veterans is something that I studied actually pretty extensively in massage school, because my specialty was somatic science, which is how emotional memories and just different emotional mental things affect the body. And at the time I was actually engaged to a soldier who had went 3 back-to-back employments, and I really dealt with firsthand in a very traumatic for me way the different symptoms and things that accompany that, like everything from night terrors to like just kind of flipping switches to severe depression. I watched him go through a lot of different things with medications and the way that would alter his brain chemistry in such a negative way. And it was also a very abusive relationship for me to be in, because he didn't know how to cope, and he had anger and rage and all this trauma, and it was basically transferred right over to me. So during that time frame with that relationship and everything I was studying, one of the things that I was really an advocate for was trying to get natural therapies like touch therapy and craniosacral therapy into places like the VA where these veterans actually need it. And again, it was just something that I spent a lot of time studying on, and then I really made the connections between that and the way that different traumatic experiences shape our everyday lives. And I know PTSD is something that people automatically kind of think war veterans, and that's originally where it, I think, kind of got popular. But the fact is, these types of experiences and syndromes present themselves in a lot of abusive relationships, just like my experience with him. Took a lot of emotional toll on me, on my body, on my health, and different things. And PTSD is something that it's really, I think for the general public, just misunderstood. Like, again, people think that it's this one thing, or that it's just night terrors, or it's flashbacks, or it's you respond negatively to fireworks and stuff. And it really goes so much deeper than that. And it's really just an automatic kind of glitch in the brain system and the responses of it just being hyperactive. It's hypervigilant. It's responding to everything. And that can happen very easily with children in abusive relationships. It can happen to a kid that gets beat up on the playground. It can happen, in an actual partnership. Like, there's so many different ways that this presents. It can happen with physical trauma, like you fell downstairs and you broke your neck, and like it doesn't, like, we understand the surface level of you might be a little afraid of stairs after that, but we don't really, for the average person, they don't really understand how deeply these micro traumas all the way to big traumas affect our everyday lives and our health on a cellular level. And it really just kind of hijacks the brain and causes it to dysfunction in various different ways. So I actually want to read a little bit of a page. I'm, as you probably all know, a research junkie. Like, my passion is to stay up to date on the latest research on everything, and I actually just got this magazine, which you can get off of Amazon or at Barnes & Noble and stuff, and I was looking at the latest research, and there's actually an article, a little page in here specifically about PTSD, and instead of trying to just talk out the wazoo all day long, I just want to actually read this to you guys and share what it's actually saying. So, being involved in a car crash, assault, military combat, or any other violent episode can be damaging enough mentally as well as physically for any of us. Now imagine reliving that accident again and again for months or even years. The experience can leave victims with symptoms ranging from night terrors to insomnia to hypervigilance to incapacitating anxiety, which is also a huge source of everyday anxiety, especially for women. Welcome to the world of post-traumatic stress disorder. More than 44 million Americans struggle with following a disturbing life experience they are unable to cope with. Even the death of a loved one can trigger this chronic psychiatric condition, wreaking havoc not just at work and at home, but in the American economy. Unfortunately, most current therapies, such as antidepressants, opiates, and I don't know how to say that word, but another type of medication, aren't effective when it comes to long-term PTSD treatment and can also have serious side effects. Many patients have said their symptoms got worse with antidepressants or narcotics. I'm going to go off script here for a second and also say, if you look at the statistics of suicide rates for those who go on antidepressants, it's actually really disturbing, the prevalence and the increase in suicidal tendencies when they go on antidepressants, and nobody really talks about that, but it's a huge issue, and that's the main way that they try to treat these people. Then along came the discovery of the endocannabinoid system and its role in emotional memory processing. This has created hope for PTSD via pharmacological manipulation of the endocannabinoid system, and that means using CBD, which has a direct effect on that system. Out of all of the mental health disorders, CBD might show the most promise for PTSD. Cannabinoids like CBD have the potential to both modulate memory processing and reduce anxiety and depression with virtually no side effects. And considering the fact that 1 in 10 people will be diagnosed with PTSD, this is a really big deal. Studies by the National Center of Biotechnology have suggested that PTSD sufferers have lower levels of anandamide. Apparently I don't know how to read today, and there's a lot of big words. I didn't reread this, so I apologize. There's another word that I'm not familiar with, but it's known to reduce stress and promote well-being, like what people feel after exercise. So recent studies have confirmed the ability of CBD to alter important aspects of adversary memories in humans and promote significant improvements in the symptomology of PTSD. So that's just kind of like the basic intro of it, and I wanted to just share. There's on sites like Project CBD and different like credible resources out there, there's a lot of different research that you can look at. Unfortunately, there's, it's like actual papers, like medical research papers and stuff, and not a lot of people want to look into them. And it's always shocking to me that people will, like, I'll run into people, and even people in the medical community, they kind of have this standoffish, like, elitist mentality of, there's not a lot of research to back it up, there's not a lot of research, and I think they just automatically want to shut it down because of the trend aspect. And I identify with that because I'm always anti-trend. Like, anything that's super popular, I'm like, whatever, like, let's see how long-term the research continues to show up. But the research is truly there. You just have to actually look for it. Like, it's not necessarily floating around. Now with the popularity of CBD, it's of course on newsstands. You're seeing magazines like this in stores, but that hasn't always been the case. So the research is there for so many different things, and not to be like all conspiracy theory here, it's not going to be on the front page of Google necessarily, especially with all of the kind of lockdowns that Google's put on natural medicine, chiropractic care, supplements and stuff. Like, you need to really dig deep. You need to know credible sources, and you need to know either how to interpret the medical research or find a credible source that can help you translate and interpret it. So with anxiety, I think probably the most consistent use that our customers is in a bottle use the product for is anxiety. Pain would probably be the secondary, but all of these things go so hand in hand too, because a lot of times just being in a chronic state of pain induces anxiety. It's like you're sort of traumatized by the pain, and then you have anxiety, and it starts this negative feedback loop, which is again how you can have symptoms of PTSD with so many different instances in your life that most people wouldn't think as traumatic, but it's the repetition of it over and over and over again that can cause a lot of issues. So I wanted to share this because I know so many people are struggling with all of the symptoms mentioned, the insomnia, the anxiety, the panic attacks, just this overall sense of like your body's like this. That is basically PTSD in physical form. So there's kind of, I think, a lot of dismissal too. Like, people can sometimes be dismissive if somebody wants to talk about that, because they're like, oh, you weren't traumatized by your breakup. Like, that's things that only war veterans go through. So I also want to encourage everybody to really have an open mind as to what these mental dysfunctions kind of encompass, and be able to recognize them in yourself and in other people so that you can actually remedy them, because nobody's immune from it. It doesn't matter how tough you are. It doesn't matter, what you've actually been through. This is the body interpreting stress and trauma. And nowadays, like, so much more than at any other time in our human history, we have stress and traumatic experiences coming at us left and right. Like, even the things that we're exposed to on the news are like affecting our biology on a cellular deep level. So this is where things like CBD that help regulate the entire stress response in the entire body become so powerful and so beneficial, because the risk is practically non-existent. You can't overdose on it. There's no documented deaths. It doesn't have all these crazy side effects that these, extreme pharmaceutical drugs have. I'm not suggesting that you go off your medication or anything like that and just get CBD. Talk to your doctor, do everything the legit way. But this can be such a powerful tool, from everyday symptomology to more extreme aspects. And there are medical doctors leading the way in this field and using this as a part of their treatment program, because they are looking at the research and they're understanding how it can positively affect people. So I just wanted to share this with you, give you guys some options, and help you understand that you or someone may be struggling with something, that they can have a natural tool to help them. And it could be something from 15 years ago or last week. And the way CBD works in the body, it's going to help regulate the emotional memory system, the cardiovascular system. Like, that's the cool thing about it, is it hits so many different systems and just helps turn the knobs down or up, and just helps the body reach that point of homeostasis, which is perfect balance. And there's not a lot of things that do that. So that is my little share for today. Let me see if there are any questions here. Okay, no questions. If you guys have any on the replay or anything, just let me know. I'm going to post the link down below, maybe for a couple research articles, and the Zen in a Bottle site if you want to pop over there and look at some of the research. And yeah, that is it for now, guys. So feel free to share this out. Let people know that there are some options and some tools to help them with great research backing it. And I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.